Hi guys and welcome back to the Mighty Blues. My name is of course Cameron. There you go, Jack Harrison has signed for Everton on a season-long loan from Leeds United after a mad 24 hours that included a rumour that Jack Harrison had rejected Everton and was on his way to Aston Villa. Harrison has finally signed his deal with the Toffees for the remainder of the season. A couple of reports this morning suggesting that those rumours that suggested he wanted to go to Aston Villa were actually a little bit wide of the mark yesterday. There was reports from Fabrizio Romano and other journalists stating that Jack Harrison had actually, once he'd had his Everton medical, had decided that he wanted to move to Aston Villa and therefore he was going to go and complete a medical there and sign for them. However, then there was a report about half an hour later that Aston Villa had actually rejected the move to sign Jack Harrison because they were not aware of his injury that he currently has, and then therefore he was on his way back to Everton to complete a move there, and it all seemed a little bit confusing. It never ever seemed to make sense, and we've heard some reports today from Alan Myers and I think David Maddock as well, and other journalists suggesting that the reports yesterday surrounding the Aston Villa interest weren't quite as advanced as some were reporting. Aston Villa did have an interest in the player, but it didn't go any further than that. Reports today to suggest even that Villa's interest in Jack Harrison actually ended weeks ago as opposed to it being yesterday. So it seems like there was a little bit of confusion about the deal. Maybe Villa came back at the last minute and wanted to discuss with the player, and the player had a discussion with them. Who knows? But Jack Harrison is officially an Everton player. The club have said Everton have completed the signing of forward Jack Harrison on a season-long loan from Leeds United. The 26-year-old passed his medical with the club yesterday before completing the necessary paperwork this morning. He will now continue his rehabilitation from a minor hip injury before being available for Sean Dyche's squad. Harrison becomes Everton's fourth summer signing. Don't miss Everton Club channels this week for the first interview with Harrison after joining the Blues. A very short but sweet announcement. No picture of Jack Harrison in an Everton shirt because those media duties obviously haven't taken place yet. No interview with him, as the club said the interview will come this week. Just a short, simple, sweet statement. Everton have completed the move for Jack Harrison on loan. He completed his medical and he will continue his rehabilitation, blah, 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 blah. Absolutely perfect. This, for me, is the perfect way to announce a footballer. Don't get me wrong. You love when, a player is announced with a fancy graphic and a fancy video and a fancy, bit of media work where, it's anticipated and everything is built up, and then they drop a unbelievably edited, fantastic announcement video, and then there's an interview there already with the player and he's already spoken for half an hour about the club, and then you've got 50 pictures of him wearing Everton gear and he's already had a training session. That's all well and good, but all of that stuff takes time, and all of that stuff takes a lot of time. And when you've been linked with a player and you've been, within the space of an hour, reported that you are in advanced negotiations with the player, and then it is being reported that he's actually decided to go somewhere else, and then it's being reported that he actually is signing for Everton as first thought, there isn't really time to be doing a special announcement video or taking 50 pictures or waiting for a couple of days before you can get, the media team together. There's not really time for that. What we needed yesterday was clarity. And I have criticised Everton Football Club numerous times in the past for taking so long when completing a transfer, and people will say to me, Cam, transfers take long, there's clauses, there's this, there's that, there's the other. I've got no doubt that transfers take a decent bit of time because of all the paperwork, because of all the money involved. Everton's financial situation means that transfers take longer because we've got to structure deals in certain ways, and that obviously takes longer to do. I've got no doubt about that, and I've got no doubt that this deal in itself was probably a lot easier than any of the other deals we'll do this summer because there was a clause in his contract. The player wanted the move, obviously, and it seemed a fairly easy one to complete. And I'm not saying that every single transfer should be as easy as this, but what I'm saying is Everton could have had this deal done and signed and completed And yet they could have waited until Wednesday or Thursday to announce it once he'd done his interview and once he'd taken the pictures of himself, once he'd had pictures of himself taken in Everton gear, etc., etc. But that would have been wrong for me. Because of all of the speculation yesterday and because of everything that went on over the last 24 hours, losing to Fulham on Saturday, we all know we're desperate for players. If you'd seen my instant match reaction, you'll have seen I was quite visibly upset about that defeat to Fulham, because I do think it's something that should be taken seriously. People say, oh, it's only one Premier League game, Cam, it's only one game, etc., etc. But what we don't realise is if we lose to Aston Villa next weekend, which is very possible because Aston Villa are a very good team, it's away from home, and Everton don't have a great record against Aston Villa recently anyway. Even when Steven Gerrard was manager there, I think the only game he won at the start of last season was against Everton. If Everton lose that one, then all of a sudden we're going into our third Premier League game of the season, our second home fixture of the season, needing to win. We play Wolves on a week this Saturday. If we lose that game, we'll have lost 3 games on the bounce, 2 of them being home games that we should win. So Saturday was a massively important game, and we lost it. Yes, we created chances. Yes, you could say we were unlucky, but we lost it. And I come on here after the game and said and was quite visibly upset about the need to bring in players, the need for Everton to get transfer deals done, the need for Everton to sign a striker before that game against Villa. And whilst Jack Harrison isn't a striker, he certainly is somebody that improves Everton. And like I said, I've criticised the club numerous times in the past for taking far too long on deals. I sat here on Saturday and said, stop sitting on your hands and thinking, oh, well, we'll announce that in 3 weeks, or we might give him 3 medicals and we'll spread them out over 2 weeks. Get a player in, get him medical completed, get him done, and get him announced. And that's what's happened with Jack Harrison. You can only credit the club for this. This time yesterday morning, the Jack Harrison stuff wasn't even a thing. Nobody had even considered Jack Harrison as an option for Everton. 24 hours later, he's officially signed as an Everton player. And yes, there was a bit of a circus around it. Of course there was, because there always is a circus when it comes to Everton Football Club. It's never just as easy as Everton are interested, Everton have agreed a deal, Everton are completing a medical, Everton have signed this player. It's never as easy as that. There's always a twist, there's always a tale, there's always I've said this numerous times before over the years, Everton are a Hollywood movie. Everton are a Hollywood movie waiting to happen. If you made a movie based on Everton, it would be one of the best movies ever made. It would have twists, it would have turns, it would have things that you'd never seen coming. It'd have, people that were once, good guys turning into bad guys. It'd have all sorts. It'd have everything. So it's never easy at Everton. However, I do think the club deserve credit for the way in which they've moved on this. Now, yes, the deal was probably a little bit easier to complete because of a clause in his contract that leads to suggest he can leave if they're relegated. And yes, it was probably a bit easier to complete because he's injured. And there was a couple of rumours and reports yesterday suggesting that he was going to be out for 4, 5, 6 weeks onwards. The club themselves are saying it's a minor hip injury, so hopefully we get to see him within the next couple of weeks or so. Again, maybe that's Everton playing it down to make the deal seem a little bit better. Maybe that's Everton, just being honest. Who knows? Who knows how long he'll be out for? Who knows when we'll see him, on that pitch in a blue shirt. But one thing's for sure is that this for me is a very, very good sign, and it's a very good, shrewd bit of business. He's certainly somebody that comes in and improves Everton. I believe Leeds rejected a bid of £20 million in January from Leicester City for him. He's played 274 games in total, 48 goals and 43 assists. Obviously he's played in the MLS before, for New York City, and for Leeds United he's played a lot of football. In the Premier League last season, 36 games, 5 goals and 7 assists, so automatically putting him, would have put him as one of Everton's best contributors last season with 12 goal contributions, which is of course significantly more than the majority of this squad has had. He's played a lot of his football on the left wing, which is similar to the majority of Everton's wingers, but he has played a lot of football on the right wing as well. 139 games at left wing, 93 games on the right. So, again, 25 goals, 21 assists on the left, 16 goals, 13 assists on the right. So very, very similar for the games played. Very, very similar output for Jack Harrison on either wing. So that obviously tells you that he's capable of playing on the wing and on the right hand side specifically, because we need him to play on the right hand side, because ultimately we are lacking massively there. Like I said, for me this is a good signing. the type of player Everton should be looking at. Loan deal, so isn't costing us much money. Obviously, we'll be covered in his wages, and I believe there is some form of clause in there to suggest that Everton could make this deal permanent. There's certainly a view to want to make it permanent without there actually being a buy clause or an obligation to buy. Alan Myers reported earlier this morning, Jack Harrison, loan deal done. There is a release clause, which means move could become permanent during the loan spell. No last minute issues is rumoured. He said Villa were in for him, but that was some time ago, and Kevin Thelwell persistent in securing one of the club's main targets. So he was one of the club's main targets. The interest from Aston Villa seemingly wasn't as advanced as what it was reported yesterday on Twitter. Maybe all of that stuff was just put out there to try and sort of build the tension and build the suspense about the deal and make it seem a little bit more dramatic than what it is. Or maybe there was a late move from Aston Villa and it just didn't come of anything. Like I said, Everton never do anything easy. But I think the club deserve credit for this. I do. I think he's a good player. Has he got an injury? Yes, he has. Hopefully, it's nothing too serious. Hopefully, he can continue his rehabilitation and he can be fit as soon as possible to be involved, because we need him to be fit to be involved. We saw on Saturday, Everton are lacking massively in those forward areas. We had two players playing out of position on the left and right hand side. On Saturday, we had Alex Iwobi, who isn't a winger, playing on the wing, and we had James Garner, who isn't a winger, playing on the wing. We know Damari Gray is likely to leave the football club. We know, we know that Dwight McNeil has currently got an injury. We know that, Dan Juma is probably more likely to be played as a centre forward with the absence of Dominic Calvert-Lewin. So we've needed wingers, we've needed forwards. Like I said, I think Jack Harrison is a good, clever signing. I do, and when fit, I think he's somebody that definitely improves Everton and somebody that can come in and make an impact on this squad. For me, I can only credit the club for getting this deal done as quick as possible. Like I said, ultimately, whether you like Jack Harrison or not, whether you believe Jack Harrison is good enough or not, whether you wanted to sign Jack Harrison, what Everton have done is identified one of their main transfer targets and gone and got this deal done within 24 hours. And that is not something that we often say about Everton. We don't often sit here and say, A, Everton have identified the target and managed to get the deal done, but B, they've managed to get the deal done in quick time and get it over the line within 24 hours. And that, for me, deserves credit. It does. I want to see more of these. I want to wake up one morning and see that Everton are linked with a player, and by the next morning Everton have signed them. As much as it's nice to see the fancy announcement video, as much as it's nice to see the interview, as the club have said here, keep your eye on the official channels in the next few days and there'll be an interview there. Nothing wrong. I've got no problem with that. I've got absolutely no problem with that. I don't mind seeing the initial interview 3 days after the deal's been announced, because at least we know Jack Harrison's an Everton player now, so nobody's stressing, nobody's anxious, nobody's saying, oh, he's chosen Villa. I done a video this morning, a little YouTube short, just talking about the Jack Harrison stuff, and it became quite clear then that he was going to sign for Everton, because the Villa stuff was yesterday, and still there was people in the comments saying, oh, he's going to Villa, he's going to Villa, he's going to Villa, even though we'd already been told, no, the deal's done, it just needs to be announced. So that just shows the anxiety and the confusion that can cause, even though we knew he was coming to Everton then. So well done on the club for getting this announced sharpish, and hopefully this is something we can adopt with future signings. Get the deal done, get it completed, and get the player in. Fancy interviews and announcement videos and pictures and winning signed shirts and all of that can come 2 or 3 days later when we know he's in the door. Get them in and get them announced. And like I said, I think Everton deserve credit for that. In terms of the player, I think he's a good addition. Once fit, he definitely improves us. He's somebody that I've liked for a while, Jack Harrison, and somebody that I've always felt Everton would sign at some point. But hopefully now that he's in the door, 26 years old, so at a good age, obviously played a lot of Premier League football, so extremely experienced. But hopefully once he's got over this injury, he can stay injury free for the rest of the season, and we can actually sort of, we can see the benefits of him, and then who knows, maybe make that deal permanent next year. So there you go. John says, great signing, glad it's over the line. Says Saint, to just hope he hits the ground running with the recovery, hopefully. Career says, not happy. Harrison done the dirty with us with Villa. He said, plus he's no better than Gray. I would disagree. I think he is better than Gray. And again, you never know what happened with the Villa stuff. Some reports suggesting that he wanted to go to Villa and he's only, they didn't want him, so he's only not there. Other reports suggesting that the Villa stuff yesterday was massively blown out of the water and it wasn't actually as advanced as what it would seem. Who knows? I do think we'll sign more players, Goodison gang. We are begging, says Carl. 6 to 7 weeks out with an injury, says Damien. I'm not too sure it will be that long. As I said, some reports suggest them 5 or 6. Everton say it's only a minor hip injury. Well, 6 weeks out isn't a minor injury by any sense of the imagination. So, hopefully it's not that long, but we'll wait and see. Colin has subscribed. Thank you very much, Colin. Really do appreciate that, my mate. I'm mad at James has donated £5 to the stream. Thank you very much, James. That means a huge amount to me. He says, hi Cam, sorry that I haven't been on the other streams as much. I've been doing uni resits, but I'm happy with the sign and just needs to be fit. No worries, mate. You don't have to apologise. Thank you so much for that super chat. I really do appreciate it. And yeah, I hope the uni work and the uni resits are all going well. But yeah, for me, good signing. Hopefully we can get him fit as soon as possible and get him instigated. But let us know your thoughts in the comment section down below. We will be back later today with the game review to that loss against Fulham. So don't forget to look out for that one. If you have enjoyed this one, please do leave a like. Like I said, subscribe to the channel if you are new. Big thank you for watching, and we'll see you soon.